The Indiana Pacers select Chris Duarte from Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic.
Christopher Duarte, born June 13, 1997. When the Indiana Pacers used their 13th overall pick in 2021 to draft a 24-year-old rookie, they weren't just betting on talent, they were betting on readiness. Chris Duarte wasn't your typical lottery pick. Older than most his class, he arrived in the NBA with the poise of a seasoned pro and the story of an underdog. Born in the Dominican Republic, raised in hardship, JUCO route to Division I, then blossoming at Oregon. In many ways, he was supposed to skip the developmental years and step in as a plug-and-play contributor for a rebounding Pacers team. And for a while, that's exactly what he did. His rookie year gave glimpses of promise, 13.1 points per game, efficient enough splits, and nearly 29 minutes a night. He played hard, shot well early, defended multiple positions, and seemed to bring a level of maturity that most young teams desperately needed. Analysts praised the Pacers for getting a player ready to help now instead of one who might bloom later. But what they didn't anticipate was that this might have already been Duarte at his peak, that his best might have already passed before he ever got the chance to truly leave his mark. Looking back, that was exactly right. By year 2, the cracks began to show. His minutes dipped, his scoring dropped, injuries started popping up, and more importantly, the Pacers' direction shifted. With the emergence of Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Andrew Nembhard, Duarte suddenly looked replaceable. His game didn't evolve fast enough to keep up with the pace of the rebuild, and by year 3, he found himself on a different roster. Sacramento, fighting for scraps. That fight ended in the G League and eventually overseas. Just like that, from lottery pick to nearly forgotten in under 3 seasons. That's how fast it can change in today's NBA. For all his effort and maturity, Chris Duarte now sits on the outside of a league that once promised him opportunity. Was he simply overrated, or was he a product of bad fit, bad timing, and unmet expectations? He had the skill to carve out a role, but the league kept moving, and Duarte didn't move with it. This is the story of Chris Duarte and how quickly the NBA window can close, even when it seems wide open. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Darvis Harvey for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Chris Duarte is a 6'6" shooting guard from Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. He moved to New York as a teenager, barely speaking English, and chased his NBA dream through the junior college ranks. At Northwest Florida State, he impressed with 19 points and 7 rebounds per game, earning NJCAA Player of the Year. That led to a scholarship at Oregon, where he averaged 17.1 points his senior season and won the Jerry West Award as the nation's top shooting guard. By the 2021 NBA draft, Duarte was seen as a polished, NBA-ready talent. At 24, he was one of the oldest prospects projected to go in the lottery, but Indiana believed in his maturity, shooting, and defense that made him ready to contribute immediately. They selected him 13th overall with hopes he'd become a foundational two-way guard. For a brief moment, it looked like he might, but that window didn't stay open long. Stunt number 1, peaked as a rookie. For a player drafted at 24, the expectation is clear: contribute right away or risk getting passed over. Chris Duarte did that his rookie year, averaging 13.1 points, 4.1 rebounds, and shooting a respectable 36.9% from 3 while playing nearly 29 minutes a night. He looked poised, confident, and ready to carve out a role as a two-way guard who could stretch the floor, guard multiple positions, and blend into a modern NBA offense. But the problem was, that was as good as it ever got. Rather than building on his strong debut, Duarte regressed in every major area. In year 2, his scoring dropped to 7.9 points per game, his minutes plummeted, his three-point shooting fell below 32%, his PER dropped from 12.7 to 7.9. Injuries didn't help, but even when healthy, he never looked like the same player. The pace, confidence, and freedom that defined his rookie season vanished. Some of that came down to fit. Indiana shifted toward a younger, faster roster built around Tyrese Halliburton. but part of it was also that Duarte didn't evolve. His handle remained loose, he struggled to create for himself, he wasn't explosive enough to finish through traffic consistently, and if his shot wasn't falling, he had no backup plan. Without versatility, he became easy to replace, especially on a team that drafted Benedict Mathurin and unearthed Andrew Nemhard as a steady guard option. Duarte was supposed to have a head start, but in reality, his age meant his rookie season was likely his physical peak. Once the NBA figured him out and teams adjusted to his tendencies, he had no counters, no wrinkles, no next step, and once his ceiling was exposed, his minutes and opportunities started drying up fast. Stunt number 2, a bad fit in Sacramento made things worse. After falling out of Indiana's plans, Duarte was traded to the Sacramento Kings in July 2023 for 2 second-round picks, a quiet signal that his value had plummeted, but the Kings hoped a new environment might spark something. Unfortunately, it only accelerated his decline. Sacramento already had a crowded backcourt with De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Davion Mitchell, and rising pieces all fighting for minutes. Duarte entered as a low-priority rotational gamble and quickly found himself buried. His role was undefined from the start. He wasn't a floor general like Fox, wasn't explosive like Monk, and didn't shoot it better than Huerter. As a result, he was shuffled in and out of lineups, often playing short, forgettable stints that didn't allow for rhythm or confidence to build. His scoring dipped to just 3.9 points per game, shooting under 38% from the field and a dismal 30% from 3. That NBA-ready shooter label he once carried was long gone. The few chances he did get were undermined by inconsistency. He disappeared for stretches, offered little on-ball creation, and failed to separate himself defensively. Sacramento's motion-heavy offense also didn't fit his skill set. Duarte thrives best in structured catch-and-shoot or straight-line drive roles, not as an improviser or high IQ connector. He simply didn't fit the system nor the timeline. Eventually, Duarte was assigned to the G League in early 2024. Just 2 years removed from being a lottery pick, he was now playing with fringe NBA hopefuls trying to rediscover his spark. It didn't work. He was waived at season's end and now plays overseas, an unceremonious fall for someone once seen as one of the safest bets in his draft class. In hindsight, Sacramento wasn't a fresh start, it was the final door shutting. Stunt number 3, no elite skill to keep him in the league. In today's NBA, staying power often comes down to one thing: elite specialization. If you can't be a star, you need to be great at something. Chris Duarte, for all his polish and maturity, never developed that signature NBA skill. He wasn't a lockdown defender, he wasn't a sharpshooter, he wasn't a creator. He was good at a few things, but not good enough at any one thing to build a career around, and that's what ultimately pushed him out. Duarte was drafted with the idea that his shooting and defense would translate quickly, but while his jumper looked promising early, he never became a knockdown threat. He also lacked the quick release or off-movement versatility to be used like elite shooters in today's game. When his shot stopped falling, his weaknesses were exposed. He didn't have the handle to attack closeouts, nor the vision to create for teammates. Defensively, Duarte had tools, good size, decent instincts, but nothing that stood out. He wasn't quick enough to guard faster guards or strong enough to bother wings. He was solid but replaceable. Add in his limited athleticism and lack of burst, and he struggled to create separation on offense or impose himself physically on defense. The 3-and-D label he was given as a rookie turned out to be wishful thinking. Worse, he never expanded his game. At 26 years old, by his third season, Duarte wasn't viewed as a developing prospect anymore. He was expected to be who he was, and unfortunately, that player didn't bring enough to the table. Without one skill set to fall back on, his minutes vanished, his confidence slipped, and teams stopped calling. His fall wasn't about attitude or effort, it was about the unforgiving truth of the modern NBA. If you're not elite at something, you're replaceable. And for Duarte, there was nothing left to hold on to once his brief moment faded. All in all, Chris Duarte's story is less about failure and more about timing, fit, and the unforgiving nature of today's NBA. He arrived older than most lottery picks with less time to grow and no margin for extended struggles. While he showed flashes of a solid role player his rookie season, the league moved on before he could adapt. Younger players with higher upside passed him by, teams restructured, and opportunities dried up. But Duarte wasn't a bust in the traditional sense. He made the NBA, started games, played real minutes, and competed at the highest level. For a kid from the Dominican Republic who grinded through JUCO to get there, that alone is an incredible achievement. Still, the goal was always more, and for a brief time, it looked like he might reach it. Instead, his window came early, and like many players in his position, it didn't stay open for long. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.